Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Harry and myself and Frankie and Laura, I would like to welcome you to the Harbour Inn's annual Burn Supper. A special welcome to Corey, who makes the journey every year from Holland in memory of her late husband Gerard, who we all miss. Also, I would like to acknowledge Tom McErlean, whom we sadly lost last year. Tom was also a frequent guest at our Burns night. So ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding for a toast. To Tom and Gerard.
Tom and Gerard.
Tonight we have an alternative Selkirk Grace by Richard Medrington. So it's written with our apologies. Ladies and gentlemen, the Selkirk Grace. Some hae meat and canna eat, and some wad eat that want it. But we hae meat, and we can eat, and say the Lord be thanked. But some hate meat, and girn and weep, resisting all coercion. So bless the tatties, bless the neeps, and the vegetarian version. Then filled with fruits o' field and vine, and feeling fairly frisky, the one who water turned to wine, we'd ask to bless the whisky. So just a wee change to your programme tonight, and because the girls aren't joining us for dinner, we're going to have Erin first to say a wee thing. So Erin, if you want to go out there, darling.
Yeah. We cry her missus nae offence, that's what she likes to say. Afore saying something awful, then heeding in her way. Nae offence, but see yon skirt you bought, it makes you look guy fat. Nae offence, you're like a standard lump when you wear your new blue hat. Nae offence, but see your perfume, she wears like a dew. It reminds me, oh, the yellow cubes you get in a laddie slew. Nae offence, but see your hairdo, you must have been a mug. To fork out 20 quid for that, you look like a Pekingese duck. It fell upon my granny to put her in her place. Gran scalped her wi' her brawly, saying, nae offence, but shut your face.
When my granda got the internet by Gregor Steele, my granda's always fixed my bike, but now he will admit that since he's had the internet, the bits on the other fit. Oh, I can't mind my password, it's gone ripped out my head. Try the name of your old dog you had, and the date it dropped indeed. My Wi-Fi isn't working, I think I hear a bug. Were you hearing this morning? You pulled at the router plug. My typing comes at havers. It's been like that a week. Gone into keyboard settings. Now change it back for Greek. See, that's me and my granda. Aye at each other's house. One wizard with a spanner, one wizard with a moose.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome again to the lunch supper in the Harbour Inn. How many newcomers have we got? How many have never been to a bun supper? Right, you'll notice there is my speech and a translation into English. Trust me, read the English one because you'll never understand me. But all it is an address to a lovely, lovely pudding. And it's basically a tongue-in-cheek jibe at our European cousins and their fads, their foods. So we'll start it off. Can you all see the haggis?
Yes.
Well, fair fall, you're honest, sonsy face. Great chieftain with a pudding race. I've been them all, ye take your place. Pinch, tripe or thorn. The groaning trencher, there you fill. Your hurdies are like a distant hill. Your pain, it would help to mend a mill in time o' need. Well, through your pores, ha 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 ha, your dews distill like amber bead. His knife, she rustic, labour dicht, and cuts you up with ready slicht. Trenching your gushing entrails bricht like ony ditch. And then, oh what a glorious sight, warm, reeking and rich. Then horn for horn they stretch and strive, de'll tak the hindmost on the drive, till all their wheel swelled kites be live, are bent like drums, and the all good man maist like to rive, bethank it hums. Now, is there that our French ragout, or olio that would stow a sou, or fricassee that would make her spew, with perfect scunner, locked down, with sneer and scorn for view, on sick a dinner. Dear devil, see a Moorish trash, as feckless as a withered rash, his spindle shank, a good whiplash, his kneve in it. Through bloody flood and field to dash, oh who unfit. But mark the rustic haggis fed, the trembling earth resounds his tread, clap in his wally kneve a blade, he'll mak it whistle, and legs and arms and heads he'll sned like taps o' thistle. Gie powers that gie mankind their care, and dish them out the bill of fare. Old Scotland wants nae skinking ware that jumps in luggage, but if you want her grateful prayer, gie her a haggis. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the haggis.
The haggis.
Thank you.
Is that vegetarian stuff all right?
Yeah, very nice.
You happy, Mrs. Quigley?
Hi.
Hiya.
Hello, we just had a bit of
Aye, there we have it. Alex on the flaming mobile phone.
Everybody
Here
enjoying
comes
their dinner?
trouble.
Yes.
Yes.
Good. So we'll move on. We'll move on to some of the speeches, and first of all, we're going to have the Immortal memory. So I give you our new star of stage and screen, Mr. Pat McErlean.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, lads and lassies. It falls to me this evening to say a few words of praise about our national bard, that man among men, Robert Burns, henceforth known as Rabbie. Tonight in Scotland and all over the globe, people will be celebrating Burns Night in honour of our Rabbie. The ploughman poet who was born on the 25th day of January 1759. And as they say, the rest is history. At these events, there is much pomp and ceremony, just as Rabbie would have liked it. The guests are entertained by the skirl of the pipes, and that exotic Scottish delicacy, the haggis, is devoured. There's even a vegetarian version. I believe it's bred in England. Hey, there will be a number of well-rehearsed speeches, oh aye. Followed by a toast, with plenty of time to refill your glass before the next speaker gets up on his hind legs. Aye, Rabbie was born in Alloa, in a cottage built by his father, William. His father was a self-educated tenant farmer, originally of the northeast of Scotland, Stonehaven actually. When Rabbie was 7-year-old, his father sold this beautiful house and took on the tenancy of Mount Elephant Farm. That's southeast of Alloa. Here Burns grew up in poverty, hardship, which weakened his constitution for the rest of his life. Rabbie received most of his education from his father, who taught all his children reading, writing, arithmetic, geography and history. He also wrote a manual of Christian beliefs. He was also taught by a young teacher, John Murdoch, who opened a school in Alloa. Being taught Latin, French and mathematics to both Robbie and his sidekick, younger brother, Gilbert. After a few years of home education, Robbie was sent to Dalrymple Primary School before full-time labouring until 1773, when he went back to lodge with Murdoch for 3 weeks to brush up on grammar, French and Latin. At the age of 15, Rabbie was principal labourer on the family farm. And during the harvest of 74, he was assisted by a Nellie Kilpatrick. Here we go, he's found out about the lassies. Nellie impressed Rabbie to write his first poem, Oh, Once I Looed a Bonny Lass. The next year, he was sent to finish his education with a tutor in Kirkoswald. Aye, there he met another lass, Peggy Thompson. He writes 2 songs for her. Now Westland Winds and I Dreamt I Lay. Yes, Robbie had the gift of the gab, the original chick magnet. In 1777, the Burns family moved again to Tarbolton, and to his father's disapproval, Robbie joins a country dancing society, and with his brother Gilbert forms the Tarbolton Bachelors Club. Robbie claims he joined the dancing school to improve his social skills. Aye, right, chat up skills. The Tarbolton Bachelors Club, at first sight, would appear to be no more than a properly constituted debating society. Then you read Rule 10 for membership. Every man proper for member of this society must have a frank, honest, open heart above anything dirty and mean, and must be the professed lover of one or more of the female sex. Oh yeah, some man. His early existing letters are from this time. He began a romantic overtures to an Alison Begbie, in spite of 4 songs written for her and the suggestion that they might wed. She gave him a knockback. Better mention the lodge. On the 4th of July 1781, Robbie was initiated into St David's Masonic Lodge, Tarbolton. At the age of 25, he was elected Deputy Master. The Master was Master in name only, so it was Robbie who chaired the lodge in his absence. He also, on 3 occasions, did the secretarial minutes. They're in his handwriting. And he signed the minutes 29 times. These minutes also show when he changed his name. Bet you didn't know Burns wasn't his name. Originally, his father spelt the name, his name was Burness, spelt Burness. Burns spelt it with 1 S. But the minute book shows that on the 1st of March 1786, Robbie's younger brother Gilbert received his 2nd and 3rd degree, and both Gilbert and Robbie signed their name as we know it today, Burns. Enough of the serious stuff. What about the lassies? Robbie and Gilbert took on Mossgill Farm near McErlean, where Robbie came to know a group of girls, known collectively as the Bells of McErlean, one of whom was Jean Armour, the daughter of a wealthy stonemason from McErlean. Aye, love affairs. Robbie's first child, Elizabeth Bess Burns, was born to his mother's servant, Elizabeth Peyton. At the same time, he was sharing the friendship of the Loyns with Jean Armour, who also becomes pregnant. Robbie puts his hands up, sits on the naughty stool in the kirk for 3 Sundays, says he'll marry the lady. Aye, Jean's father speared her off to flaming Paisley, out the road, in disgrace. Jean bore Robbie twins, the first of 9 children together. Aye, Robbie wouldn't leave it at that. Robbie being Robbie, sees a lassie by the name of Mary Campbell in the church and falls in love with her. Is there no end to his philanderings? He dedicates the poems A Highland Lassie, O Highland Mary, to Mary in Heaven, and his song, Will You Go to the Indies, My Mary, and Leave Scotia's Shores. This suggests they planned to immigrate to Jamaica together. They had exchanged Bibles, pledges, a traditional form of marriage in these days, but alas, Mary contracted typhoid and was buried in Greenock in 1786. His luck's got to change. Earlier in that year, a volume of works by Robert Burns, poems, chiefly in a Scottish dialect, was published. This is known as the Kilmarnock volume. It sold for 3 shillings and contained much of his best writings, including The Twa Dogs, Address to the Deal, Halloween, The Cooter Saturday Night, and Tea a Moose. The success of his works was immediate, and soon he was known throughout the country It seems that 1786 was a game changer for the young Robbie. Robbie had his bag packed and was going to say farewell to his native land. But in finding how well his poetry had been received, he bought us a horse, and without a single acquaintance or letter of introduction, he nips up to Edinburgh to get his second edition of his works printed. Because of his popularity and the popularity of the Kilmarnock volume, he was readily accepted into Edinburgh society, and within 2 weeks had done a deal for the first Edinburgh edition of his poems, chiefly in a Scottish dialect, to be published. Robbie sold the copyright of them for 100 guineas. That's about 25 grand in today's money. Good money. Robbie was the talk of the town and met and impressed many wealthy and influential people, such as the young Walter Scott. Lifelong friendships were formed with, among others, Lord Glencairn and Frances Anne Dunlop, who became his sponsors. Aye, he embarked on relationships, first with the separated Agnes or Nancy McElhose. He wrote a fond kiss for her, and he exchanged passionate letters under a Poseidon, the Poseidon of Sylvander. Nancy was Clarinda, but it became obvious that Nancy wasn't going to come across with the goods. She wasn't up for it. So Robbie moves on to Nancy's servant, Jenny Cloy. Aye, she bore him a son. He also had a dalliance with another servant girl, Margaret May Cameron. Eventually he had to leave Edinburgh. 1788 he left Edinburgh with the top side of 500 guineas in his pocket, returning and marrying his beloved Jean. They set up house in Ellisland Farm in Dumfriesshire. Robbie didn't do well at farming, or was it a case that his heart and talents lay elsewhere? He trained as an exciseman or gauger, travelling around Scotland on horseback in all weathers, sometimes travelling more than 200 miles in a week. At this time in his life, he produced some of his best works. Among them, Tam O'Shanter. On his travels, Robbie would collect traditional poems and songs. Then, as we would say today, he would rectify them. The Selkirk Grace was one such work, first recited by Robbie himself, while a guest of the 4th Earl of Selkirk on St Mary's Isle, just out of the bay, in Kirkcudbright. Also at that dinner, Robbie first performed for many years was our national anthem, Scots Wha Hae, a fine rebel-rousing song if there ever was one. Ha! I feel a story coming on. Aye, primary 3, 7-year-old school teacher was Miss Rendell, known as Ratbag Rendell. Aye. She says, we're going to have a bundle supper. This is, January. She says, we'll have a bundle supper. I will provide the haggis, the school kitchen. We'll do all the work. Yous are all going to audition for parts. And could some of you boys see Mr. Bard the farmer and get some potatoes and turnips? Aye. Right, game's on. So what do? We go home. I tells my dad that I've been drawn to do Scots Wha Hae. He goes bloody mental. I sent you to school to learn to speak properly, no speak like a bloody ploughman's son. He forgave me. Went back to school. We've got a big bag of tatties, big bag of turnips. Teacher says, did you get them from Mr. Barr? Aye's all right about it. Aye. Day comes. Fantastic event. Headmaster comes. Mr. Putherer, known as Pussy. Anyway, great do. We all did well. Fantastic. Then the wheels fell off. What does dear old Ratbag do? She goes and writes a letter of thanks to Bertie Barr the farmer. Oh dear, hands out time. We hadn't asked Bertie. We had helped her sell the tatties and tumshoes out the field. We all got belted. Anyway, Bertie was all right about it. And until the day he died, he never let any of us forget it. Anyway, Scots wha hae. Scots wha hae with Wallace bled. Scots when Bruce has half times led. Welcome to your gory bed. Or to victory. Now's the day and now's the hour. See the frontal battle lure. See approach proud Edward's poor. Chains and slavery. Wha will be a traitor knave? Wha can fill a court's grave? Wha said base as be a slave? Let him turn and flee. Wha for Scotland's king and law? Freedom's sword will strongly draw. Freemen ston and freemen fall. Let them follow me. By oppression's woes and pains, by our sons in servile chains, we will drain our dearest veins, but they shall be free. Lay the proud usurpers low, tyrants fall in every foe, liberties in every blow. Let us do our dee. Aye, it's the only poem I can remember. Aye. Yes, Robbie wasn't a royalist, obviously. He was also an ardent supporter of the rights of the people. A number of his works, such as A Parcel of Rogues in the Nation, A Man's a Man for All That, and The Rights of Women come to mind. He was also the supporter of the French and American Revolution. This got him into trouble with his bosses in the excise service on quite a few occasions. There are also indications that he penned a number of political letters to a Glasgow newspaper, and that Rabbie had a well-known lady agitator publish some of his works in her name. Right, now we're going to get to the local interest. Rabbie had no time for John Stewart, the 7th Early Galloway. Yeah, folks, the man in the big house along there. Galloway was everything that Rabbie detested. A Tory MP, Lord of the Police, magistrate, ear of the king, and filled with pomposity. I cleaned that up. The famous biographer James Bothwell wrote of Galloway that he had a petulant forwardness that cannot fail to disgust people of sense and delicacy. I think he meant he was an arrogant, big-headed bugger. Anyway, Robbie didn't miss him. Robbie writes a poem, Epigram on the Early Galloway. What do you in your mansion fair, thick Galloway, and find? Some nary dirty dungeon cave, a pigment o' your mind. No Stuart are you, Galloway, the Stuarts all were brave. Besides, the Stuarts were not fools, not one of them a knave. Bright ran our line o' Galloway through many a fair-famed sire, so ran the far-famed Roman way, and ended in the mire. Spare me your vengeance, Galloway, and quiet let me live. I ask no kindness at your hand, for you have none to give. I don't think he liked him. Robbie eventually gave up his farm in Dumfries, moved into Dumfries, and concentrated on his excise work and became a supervising excise man. He joined the local militia as a private. Aye, you've got it, another poem, The Dumfries Volunteers. It's a brilliant British nationalism, socialism and Scottish nationalism. I'll give you the last 4 lines. Who would sing God Save the King shall hang as high as a steeple, but while we sing God Save the King, we'll ne'er forget the people. Very complex and forward thinking. Robbie is revered as a simple working man who penned poetry and shared many a moment in the bosom of many a woman, a lassie. The bit about the Lassies is true. We all know that he fathered between 12, 14 children, and probably a hell of a lot more that we don't know about. He was anything but a simple man. He was well educated. He could read and write both French and Latin, and to be a supervising excise man, he must have had an excellent education. He was offered the post with the excise in London, and friends tried to get him to stand for the chair of agriculture at Edinburgh University. Had he lived, what accolades would he have achieved? But what greater accolade could he have achieved than to be recognised by his countrymen as our very own national bard? Ladies and gentlemen, lads and lassies, brothers and sisters, I invite you to charge your glasses and be upstanding and join me in drinking a toast to that man among men, lover of lassies, Scotland's national bard, Robbie Burns. Robbie Burns.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you.
I made it. I can get drunk now. Thank you.
Sorry, I had to dress myself tonight because Mrs. Hobbs was getting ready, so I've got a speech somewhere she put in my pocket. Here we go. So, hello and good evening, everybody. This is thanks to lovely Carol. I'm standing here today. She mentioned me on Saturday. Said I've got a job for you, Steve, and I've got a full week to prepare for it. So I'm nearly dressed. Right. So if you've heard this one before, I'll apologise because the pickings on Google were pretty slim. So now a toast for the ladies. Lord, wherever shall I start? So many beautiful ladies here tonight. So he said, that's nothing rude and nothing crude, something from the heart. But so I scratched my head and searched my soul. I wasn't getting far. It seems that Julie's harsh restrictions took half my repertoire. Wow. Anyway, oh the bard. He loved the ladies and how they loved him back. Seems a poem's all it took to get them in the sack. No wonder he liked writing the love that hid within, which explains his suave and healthy look and how he kept so trim. If only it were like that now, I'd write for all I'm worth, grabbing every chance I could each day to nail another verse. And my wife, she would be pleased for me and my new attention, and I'd be thin from running away from all the too much pain to mention. So now once my business took me roaming each corner of Great Britain, so I catalogued the ladies, just the ones that I was smitten. Well, the Welsh girls took hours to please, and the Irish took some beating. And the English girls are very, very nice if your ears could take the bleating. But the Scottish girls are best by far, steady as a rock. But if your chance your eye would stray, you'd wake without your... Oh, sweet ladies, you are dear to us. Where would we be without you? In wrinkled clothes and mottled beards, in a house of straw and cow poo. Without you, we'd be just exist, watching football in the bar, just sitting, drinking, laughing, drinking, sleeping in the car. Dear sweet ladies, we don't kid ourselves. We know you are the beat. You have us beat. Hence we hold the doors for you and chairs while you see. We love the chivalrous stuff, it makes us look the strongest. You see, we have to make the most of things because you fucking live the longest. Well, at least the time for me to stop and give you a chance to mingle. And I'll make my peace with my dear wife, or I'm Facebook single. Now, gentlemen, I'll ask you, please charge your glasses and stand. Join me in a bumper toast. That was ill prepared, wasn't it? To the beauty of the Lassies.
The Lassies.
Thank God we got Burns as our national poet and not you.
Nice one.
You nailed it.
You nailed with it. Oh. Yay!
I'll try my best. I'll be very polite.
Oh, no, 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 please, no.
Yeah, I might make a few bits up in between now. My dear ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests. I will reconning that. Scots to whom this ritual is more than familiar, and everybody else who is still trying to work out what was in the haggis. Although I'm very awfully nervous, I'm not a native speaker with my deep passion for Scotland, culture and history. A wee sip of whiskey might help me to overcome this barrier of shyness. So it is my pleasure to take up the challenge, replying to Steve's toast. And what a great speech it was. Poetic, humorous, ironic, and even in rhymes at times. There must be Robbie Burns' blood in his veins. I'd like to thank him very much for being so lovely to us lasses. But as woman has said, have many words available than men allow me to reply in a complex text, as women usually have to say so much to say, especially when it comes to men. It's very nice of Steve's to emphasise that behind every great man there is a woman. And let me add, not only one. Think of Robbie Burns having definitely more than one woman, which would have been rather expensive, organising wedding rings for all of them. Anyway, he probably couldn't get enough of us, which seems to be common practice for some lads until today. Robbie obviously loved the company of lasses, and we can't deny the fact that he was an impressive womaniser. So we do understand that he could only unfold his extraordinary talents with as much female support as he could get. And to be honest, with men like being famous as Steve, as proved with Julie. But good for Robbie. Luckily there wasn't any social media at the time. Imagine Jane finding out what Claudia had on Facebook, or Robbie on Twitter having made 2 women pregnant at the same time. Gee, believe me, there would be some words. Probably all banned. He had enough trouble without the media, but whatever he did to his lasses, he was always excused doing something wrong, as he was a brilliant wordsman. We all know about the power of romantic words. Women always fall to victim. I wonder what Julie was impressed by. So do I. It must have been something else. As Steve mentioned, sometimes men reach for the stars to satisfy the wishes of beloved ones. Big Ben is an impressive example, as its quality we appreciate very much, but some men should be very careful when they're not properly equipped for this challenge. But why bother looking for great men at the other end of the world, when it's much quicker, more convenient and definitely more effective to focus on Scotland and her sons? William the Wallace, fighting and dying for his great love, women and Scotland. Alexander Fleming, having invented the basics of penicillin, so men do care about our health, or maybe it's just to look after us, or them. Ian Fleming, inventing James Bond. How kind of him to entertain us with a smart, attractive, brave and intelligent agent. Charles Rennie Mackintosh, master of craft and design, who knew very well that we do love extraordinary jewellery and stylish furniture. And let us not forget about Sir Sean Connery, who used to be the sexiest man alive for a long time. Aren't we all attracted by well-dressed men? So I do apologise, Steve. But it's not the tie that makes a man a kilt. A kilt will win our hearts, I will see. Not very often on a Friday night in the Harbour Inn. So the list of great Scottish men is actually much longer, which teaches us, if you are looking for Mr. Right, head north to Scotland where you will find the descendants of Robert Burns. A man we celebrate tonight who not only left 13, maybe 14, by 4 women, children, should I say, 13 children by 4 women to the world, but everlasting, inspiring poems. I'd like to share a small snippet to you, which could be delivered far better if I was capable of a Scottish accent. I'm afraid there's not enough whiskey to teach me. Had we never loved sadly kindly, had we never loved sadly blindly, never met or never parted, we had near been broken hearted. I invite you to raise your glasses to the gentleman in the room, without whom we would never be broken hearted, without whom we wouldn't have so much to talk about, but without whom we could always never loved or be loved so kindly. Selkirk Matar. To the laddies. To the laddies. Sorry, I should have said it. To the laddies. Sorry.
Nice one, Chrisy.
Anyway, I hope you all join me in thanking our waiting staff and our chef and all the rest of our kitchen staff. You've done an absolutely wonderful job tonight, folks. Thank you very much indeed. So finally, it just remains to ask you all to be upstanding, link arms, and we'll do a wee verse of Auld Lang Syne. Ready?
All the acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind. Should all acquaintance be forgot for the sake of Auld Lang Syne? Now Auld Lang Syne, my dear, for Auld Lang Syne, we'll take a cup of kind of shit for Auld Lang Syne.
Thank you.
Safe home.